No. Oh, it's only 1:58.
Yeah, it's only 2 minutes to 4.
Okay. So anyway, I was just saying a lot of show applications are up, and Old Town is starting an emerging artist program. So that'll be interesting.
And that's new for Old Town?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And every time I apply to a show, I feel like I'm just throwing my hat in the ring and have no idea what's going to happen. Seems so random.
Nice booth, Annette.
Oh, thank you. I wish I would have had this picture on all my Florida applications, but I hadn't had this one done yet, so.
Yeah.
Now,
Didn't
did
we
you
talk about needing orange?
What?
Didn't we talk about needing, what's the other color circle? Was it orange?
Oh, the orange, yeah, that they didn't have the orange paint. But I kind of like it muted like this. I kind of like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you? Do you think it needs the bright?
As long as the work stands out from the background, which it does.
Orange is a
Yeah.
very specific color that people either love or hate.
Okay.
So were those two were the colors you have now, they I mean, I think orange would look great. That's separate from
It would draw your eye no matter where you put it in the booth.
Yeah. Well, people really, I mean, they do stop, I realize it's not everybody's type of artwork, but everyone did like stop, and it draws people in. So that, is a good thing.
So is that or is it painted wood then in the back?
No, I bought what is it called? Coroplast, which is that plastic like they use for political signs, the
Oh,
plastic corrugation in between.
Mhm.
So it's light. And I
right.
have it like Velcroed, but the trouble is it's the paint isn't really sticking. It's like kind of starting to chip off. So I have to probably touch it up a lot, but it works pretty well.
So what about, like, how sign stores, like, you can get a sign on that kind of material printed, and that is very weatherproof. So I wonder if you could get the shapes you want for whatever they're using to print it on. It might be very expensive, but
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, I didn't think about, because these I had to buy the sheets and then cut it and
Yeah,
then
but
spray paint it.
It's only a one-time deal as far as being expensive.
Right. Yeah, I should look
Yeah.
into that.
you'd want to make sure it won't just scratch off or something like that.
Right. Yeah, because this is like, I have they're pretty tight in there going behind the shelves and everything. So I noticed a couple of them have gotten scratched.
Right.
I probably just need to be more careful. That really big one is like the one that's a little more, and just transporting it to and from the shows, and making sure they don't get that.
I don't know how big they are, but pillowcases, king size pillowcases, are really good for transporting things.
Oh, yeah, the one is 36 by 72.
Okay.
That's pretty big. It would be
That is pretty big.
like a duvet.
Right.
No,
I mean, you could take sheets and Velcro them together or something like that to protect them.
Oh, that's true.
As opposed to, because I use
blankets.
Yeah. I put those
are
my panels like for transporting, because it kind of, cushions them so they don't get like in the trailer. And that seems to work, but I think I damaged it just putting it up in the booth, like trying to get it behind the shelving. I'm not really sure. The little ones are all fine. It's just the big one that has a scratch on it, and I don't know what I did, but because the paint said it was for plastic, so I feel like it should stick on there, but I don't know.
Or maybe you could touch it up then, which would be nice.
Yeah, I think I can just touch it up.
But yeah, I have plexi with my cases, and I use pillowcases and a suitcase, and I have the foam in the suitcase, so they're cushioned. It was originally set up for flying, but so they stay pretty well. And my local display, I don't have that sort of, because it's very big. I just have a covering for it, but it definitely gets more damaged. But there's a product I found, and I don't know if it would come in different sizes, but it's meant for bandages. So but you know, you might need bandages for the body as well as an arm. And it's, I'm just getting it out to show you because it's a really great product um, for packaging. So tubular elastic support bandages. And
Oh,
so this is, but if it came wider, that might, this is what it comes like. And you cut off what you need. And for me, this fits tightly around the plexi cases. They're kind of U-shaped and they're pretty big.
oh, yeah.
They're probably 30 inches, I guess. And so I just drag this around. So at least it protects it during travel.
Oh, okay.
And it was easier to buy this than to sew something.
Right.
But you know, maybe they come in body size.
Right. Body bags.
Right.
I just need to be more
getting
careful.
t-shirts from the thrift store.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
T-shirts, that's a great idea.
Extra large might work.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It's nice if it's a little stretchy too. Then
Yeah.
it's kind of a tight fit. But a t-shirt is a great idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Okay.
There's so much
I think
trouble.
you can buy yardage that's tubular as well.
Oh,
Jersey knit,
Oh, that's right.
referred to as. It's a t-shirt fabric. Sometimes they're heavier than you can get t-shirts in, but it's pretty sure it's called Jersey knit. Used to be.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They used to
Okay.
make tube tops out of them.
Yeah,
okay.
good ideas. Okay.
There's so much troubleshooting, you know, involved in all of this, right? I mean, you know, aside from the thinking about what your booth is going to look like, you know, how are you going to transport things so they last?
Right, that's a big part.
So Carrie, are you sitting in a rocking chair? She's muted.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's distracting. I can't hardly
No,
not.
it's not distracting. I wish I was sitting in a rocking chair.
It's almost impossible to sit in one and not rock.
Are you in a very cold place? You're all bundled up.
I'm freezing. Yeah, I'm always cold, so I need to live somewhere where it's like not humid and 80 degrees year round. That'd be nice.
Well,
Hawaii.
it's 80 degrees here.
Well,
Hey, it's 30, it's 36 here.
It's about 62 here.
It was supposed to be snowing, but we didn't get any snow,
Oh.
luckily.
yeah, I haven't sat on 70 in my house, but I just freeze, so I just bundle up, just have more layers.
And where are you
I'm located like right outside of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
In
And it's
Indiana.
that cold. And it's that cold there.
No, I've lost a considerable amount of weight. So I took off nature's insulation and that just keeps me cold. So
Ah.
yeah. I was working in my studio without air conditioning, I think, until like July, and it's an upstairs like converted attic. So
Poor baby.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I was in Louisville.
Yeah, was you there for St. James?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. wasn't
So
bad.
4th Street?
No,
Oh, okay.
the
was
court.
the nice place.
Listen, I liked 4th Street.
Yeah.
In fact, the only reason why I'm not on 4th Street is because the first time I did it, I was on 4th Street, but there were big potholes and it rained and it filled up and it flooded the booth. So I told her, I'll come back if they fix the street because they said they're gonna repave the street. So I called her before the next year. I called her and she said, no, they haven't done it. So I moved over to the other show. And then, of course, by the time I got there, they had repaved the street, but I'm already in a new place. And, and so I've been there for a few years.
Yeah. Well, FYI, no matter if they pave it or not, it's going to flood because so many people have their tent walls down in the street And so the director comes by in the morning and goes, everybody get your tent walls out of the street. And then people complain, but it works. But it's like the price you pay for a lot of foot traffic other than the court. And
Yeah,
so,
you're talking about 4th Street?
yeah, the flooding is kind of the price you pay for heavy traffic.
Didn't flood this year.
No, it was awesome this year.
So you're on 4th Street?
Yes.
So what are the pros and cons of doing 4th Street versus St. James Court?
I can't tell you really. I just started doing art fairs. St. James was my first art show, period. And that was a year ago in October. And since then I've done about 10 really good shows, but I can't tell you because I've only ever been on 4th Street. So somebody else in here might be able to attest to that, but I'm still kind of a
I'm curious. What do you call really good shows?
Shows that I wouldn't have been able to do had I not done an apprenticeship and learned like the ins and outs of waiting your tent and how much, I mean, I did an apprenticeship for about a year
Okay.
and just kind of followed around an artist learning how to do stuff like that. And she's been keeping spreadsheets on art shows for years for her.
Yeah, but
That's great.
specifically. And which shows are you talking about?
Locally, because I mean, I'm still new at
You
this.
haven't named one yet. Name one.
Oh, okay.
Name
like I
10
did-
of them.
Like Penrod, I did Penrod, and I felt like that was a pretty good show. I'm gonna be doing Winter Fair Columbus. I've done Cherokee Triangle is a local one. It's a really good show. It was my best show, and it was local people. 4th Street in Bloomington. I did one called Art Birmingham in Michigan, and
Yeah.
it was just
The spring one or the fall one?
the spring one.
Yeah.
And it just, my people weren't there. So I'm still trying to find my demographic, you know. She's a jeweler. I followed her around and helped her out. And we have similar demographic, but different yet. So I do really well in college towns. I did Woodland. I don't know. That's the ones I've done so far that I
Okay.
can think of.
I got
Are
an
you a
idea.
jeweler too?
No, I'm a painter.
Oh, okay.
I think she has a painting behind her.
Well, that,
Yeah, it
Doesn't
covers up
work.
my non-working fireplace. So
That's all right.
that she could be an art appreciator as opposed to a painter having a painting behind her. How do I know?
That's a
Well-
good amount of shows and a really nice opportunity that the jeweler is working with you. That's fantastic.
yeah, she taught me how to do, I was in dentistry for 22 years.
Oh,
So, sorry,
Really?
I didn't realize I was getting a phone call.
Drill you later.
I might have lost you all.
No, we're
No.
all here.
now you're
Oh,
here.
well,
Okay.
Yeah.
It still rang through on my phone or my computer. This is weird. Anyway, I can't see you all, but I think you can see me.
So you were in dentistry. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I was in dentistry for a really long time
Wow.
and 22 years to be exact.
Ah.
Does that mean you were a dentist?
No, I was cleaning teeth. I was a hygienist.
A
Ah.
lot of people in that field go into jewelry. Actually, the tools are the same.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, my brother's a dentist and I always called him a glorified jeweler.
You kind of are, really.
Well, you need to be more precise in the dentistry field, you know.
Yeah.
than
Maybe.
jewelry.
Oh, that's right, you're a jeweler, so you could right, you know.
So
I
was-
thought jewelers needed to be very precise.
Well, but the point is you're dealing with, you know, your patient, so it's, I think, more important to be very precise, you know.
So Carrie, you got bored only working 3 days a week?
No, I worked full time. So I worked like that for 22 years and I had some goals set for myself. But in college I was taking, I took enough classes to get an MFA and I didn't even realize it, just because I loved taking art classes. And then I painted as like my de-stressor and I did that for about 20 years. And then where I live, my mayor said we could go back to work on May 1st. And that was before I could get my hair colored or go out to eat or watch a movie or anything. And I just said I didn't want to do it yet. So I was going to try something different. And then that summer there was no art show. So I built a website and I learned how to do that and SEO, and learned how to do spreadsheets and my bookkeeping. I figured it was a good time to get caught up on the admin stuff that most people have as an afterthought.
Mhm.
And then
Or
then
most people hire other people to do.
right, right. And then 2021, I gave up my summer, throwing a tent around and following her around, and learning how to look at things differently. And now I'm doing the really hard stuff of learning where my demographic is. And I'm also trying to figure out, price points and booth design, like what's more effective. I realize if you move something from one place to another, it changes how it sells completely. So
Mhm.
Maybe.
sorry I talked so much, but you all asked.
Oh,
No,
no.
it's
Trust
good.
me,
It's interesting. And I think you're really smart to do local shows.
Yeah.
You've done quite a bit. I mean, 10, that's a lot of shows, but also, it keeps your expenses down and that sort of thing as well. So that's, I think, really smart.
Yeah.
Carrie Beth,
And
every person here has talked a lot more than you have on one event or one Zoom or another.
Yeah.
so one of the things I think a lot of us realized during the pandemic is we were all spending so much money on traveling to shows, all of those expenses, the lodging, the travel, the booth fees, all of that. And so,
Hey, Allison, I
yeah.
figured that out 20 years ago, when, my father passed away, and my brothers called me and said, we've been taking care of our mother for a while. It's your turn. So I actually moved back to Detroit and stayed with her for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and so I wasn't doing any shows, and then it's another 6 months to apply and get in.
Right.
Go back. This is around 2003, 2004, maybe. I
Mhm.
don't know. I can't give you the date, but it's around that time. And so I came back, and I looked at the end of the year, and I went, I have the same amount of money I had when I was doing shows. And then I started doing the math, which I normally do anyway, but wasn't paying attention. And I went, it's pretty much the same. It was the same. So there's the expenses are a lot.
Right. Unless you have free places to stay, which sometimes can.
Well, yes.
But
And
Carrie, what do you think your demographics are? I'm curious.
Okay, so it's funny you said find free places to stay, and then you asked me this question. So one summer I followed I know it's lame, but I followed the Dave Matthews Band from here to Washington State camping.
a groupie. I love it.
Yeah.
It was a really fun summer. It was just something to do. And so I followed them across. I kept my job and I worked really hard, but I flew back. Sometimes it made it work. But I met a lot of really cool people that summer. And I feel like I can find quite a few places to stay with friends. So that kind of helps. And then the jeweler that I told you about that I followed around, she and I will apply to the same shows together. And
so you could share.
yeah, so a lot of times I think there was only one show so far this year. I still have a couple more, but there's only one show so far that we aren't doing where we're sharing a hotel room. So that's been great.
Yeah, they've gotten
That's great.
expensive.
And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you asked me a question. Did I answer it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
think
wanted
so,
to make
yeah.
She asked another question, which was, what's the demographic? Who buys your work?
Oh, yes.
I did.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So because I've met a lot of my friends with Dave Matthews, I can see my people kind of coming. My parents were hippies growing up, and we had all the black light stuff around, and Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead is the soundtrack to my life. So I can kind of see my people come in, they'll have the Pink Floyd shirt on or the Radiohead shirt or and my work is all black light. I'm a black light painter, so I'm kind of a niche. So it's kind of hard to find my people, but I can see them coming a mile away, if that makes sense.
So there's all kinds of alternatives to regular craft fairs. I've got a friend who does, her jewelry is felt in sterling silver, and she does wool festival type shows as a set. She's usually one of very few jewelers there. And so I have friend that does chainmail garments, and they've done this show in San Francisco that was I have to think about what it was, but it was around Halloween maybe, and it would go until like 4 in the morning or something, but they always for them it went very well. But to think about alternatives to craft fairs, and you know, if you find these things, then find other people who've done them, so you could, you know, just do a little research. Don't just show up at one of these, because it could be, I mean, my very first craft fair was quilted tissue box covers, and I sold 0 and I got a sunburn. So you know,
That's not a
it's
bad
always
thing.
but everyone was very nice, but you know, making 0 sucks.
Where's my
Uh,
phone?
but you know, definitely think about these alternatives, because there's, you know, you know that world better than I do, and you know, maybe there's opportunities for you to sell your work at another type of venue, but definitely do your research before just doing it, you know.
See, I kind of almost don't agree with that, because the only way you can find out if it's your customers is actually if you do it. And even the same show from one year to the next might be different. So
That may be true, but I'm saying an alternative to craft fairs, like I know ceramic artists who do
Yeah.
garden shows, you know, like the type of things where architects set up like settings of gardens, and there's some booths with all kinds of things, but I've known artists who have done those sorts of shows. If you're a ceramic artist, you could make planters, but you could even be a jeweler that does floral sort of work, or so that's what I'm saying. Think
There are
in that
major
realm.
flower shows in each city.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, plant people like my work a lot. A lot of my work is it has plants or imaginary plants in it. Fish tank
Uh-huh.
people like my work because they already have the glow in the dark stuff for their fish. And so it just kind of fits the room. Millennials like my work. People who were like my parents, like kind of I grew, it was rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, all that stuff. And they were teenagers. They were like teenage parents when they had me too. So you know, I can kind of, I don't know, see them coming. Like I said, you know, they're just,
Yeah.
I can see. And then the lady who has the tie-dye dress on or something, you know, those are
Uh-huh.
typically the people that like my work. And you don't have to have a black light, but they all glow. And so I have black lights hanging in my booth, and people will come in and I feel like they look at them and they'll be like, oh, this is really cool or whatever. But then I think it mentally stops them. Like, I don't have
it's outside of their realm.
right. But before, when I didn't have black lights hanging in my booth and it was just paintings that were bright colors, because that's, you know, I was like an 80s kid. So, you know, that's what I typically paint in. People would come in and just, I guess, so I don't know if I think the next 2 shows I'm doing, I'm going to take the black lights out and just be like, and wait, you know, like, did you know it does this, you know, at the end of it?
Well,
Something.
Right.
if they
Well,
feel that they need a black light to appreciate the painting, then you've lost the sale.
Sell them as paintings,
Yeah,
or
that's
right.
kinda
make
how I'm
paintings
feeling.
that are paintings.
Pardon me?
Make paintings that are paintings, not like that would work with a black light.
Yeah.
I had
Terry,
black
can
lights
you
when I was
sell
in
the-
college, and that's like 150 years ago.
Terry, could you sell people, could you
Not
have
really.
black lights in your booth to sell to people who would otherwise buy the painting if they had one?
Oh, I give them one with it, but
Oh, okay.
if they buy a bigger one, I have like a light bar that goes with it. So I give them one with it, but I don't know, I'm just testing things right now. Like,
Okay.
like I had this one thing that I make and I had it down on a table. I move it up to my podium at like checkout and now they're selling. Whereas all summer long, they just sat there not selling, you know? So I'm kind of testing where I'm putting stuff in my booth. And then I walk past people like you all who have been done it forever. And you know, it looks so awesome in your booth. You just look like you've done it a million times because you have, you know, so I'm still kind of in that awkward figuring out the design phase, and I'm going to take the black lights out and just, like I said, just see what happens. It's been neat to have people come in and be like, oh, wow, and buy stuff because they like it. But then I wonder if it's hurting my sales in other places. So
Probably not.
Well, it sounds like you're on a good path. And, and that's something else to experiment with, taking the light out. But you're getting a lot of experience, and hopefully you're selling your work too.
Yeah, my friend who was a headhunter before she ever became an artist,
Mhm.
she was across from me at the person I apprenticeshiped with. She was across from me at St. James, so I was kind of nervous. I felt like my teacher was watching me, and
Ah.
and so
No,
she
now where
watched.
were you were on 4th Street?
Yeah, yeah. So the whole weekend she said you had a lot of people in your booth. She's like, but not everybody was walking out with something. I was like, well, she's like, you need to work on closing the sale. So I just
You're only gonna get a small percentage of sales for people that
Right.
I wouldn't think about that,
Yeah.
Do you take a mailing list? Do you keep a mailing list?
Oh yeah. That's one thing I've been really good with ever since
Yeah.
I started, because I feel like that's my retirement plan. Like for when
Mhm.
I just want to have a web shop. So I'm
Yeah.
super good at I blog, and then I also so they get that when it comes out, and like I nurture with all my blogs and things like that, and then if I ever do ask for the sale, it's only a couple of times a year. So I probably should do it more, but I have been really good about emailing. So that
Mhm.
was really
Emailing is great. Sales don't actually work for me. I've tried them, but yeah, that email list, that's great because they forget who we are. I mean, so many times I'll see somebody with earrings on and, oh, who made those? And they always forgot. And I love when I could think of who it is. But yeah, it's a good reminder that you're still here, that kind of thing.
Allison, you're unforgettable. Who would forget you?
Ha ha ha.
So what does everybody here do?
I'm a jeweler, metalsmith.
I'm a photographer.
I don't do
And a
anything. I just
retoucher of
come
other
here.
people's photography.
And I improve other artists' jury images.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Larry, I wouldn't get into anything.
I've been a website designer for 25 years and working with artists since 2002.
Oh, awesome.
We do wood turning. We've worked with Larry and we've
And Frank.
also and Frank and appreciate their help with us.
I do beadwork and crochet mostly. I don't know, you can see it.
That's patience I don't have.
Well, it's good for waiting rooms, so you don't do this. Well,
Oh yeah.
And Zoom meetings.
and Zoom meetings, yes.
I work in clay, actually.
I love clay.
Mud.
Hi, Oscar.
How you guys doing?
Good. Oscar's a photographer.
Oscar,
Yes,
how's it going?
it's going good. No complaints. Did a job the morning and now went to do x-rays and now back home.
X-rays? What happened?
Oh, I got a pinch turn in my neck and they're going to do an injection in my neck on November 7th. So see how that goes. And then meanwhile, it's just another day in Oscar's life.
That's
It's just,
great.
And we can all read about it on Facebook.
yep.
Not all of us. 6 months
It's-
and counting as far as not being on Facebook anymore.
Good,
I got
good
into
for
Boca
you.
Raton Museum show, so I'm pretty excited. So that's no Art 4 Myers for me this year.
7 months, huh?
No
Oh.
4 Myers because I'm doing Boca.
Really? You made a decision.
Yeah, they make I've done really well in Boca, and that's one of those shows that once again, when I didn't have the money, they let me pay like a week before the show, and they helped me so much. So I always in debt to them.
That's
And
nice.
now I make decent money every show I do with them. So I cannot complain. And it's not a show for everybody because you have to set up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. So, but I do really well in there. And they surprisingly they said that they got more applications this year than ever before they ever had. So it might be a good thing or a bad thing, but it's going to be interesting.
why do
I'm
you think
looking
they got
forward
so
to
many?
full.
Why do you think they got so many applications?
I think that the show is getting better reputation than
Mhm.
for Myers, in my opinion. What I keep hearing over and over is that people do better in Boca Raton than Fort Myers.
Really?
Yeah. They say that people in Fort Myers, this is not a shot to Sharon or anybody down there. It's they say that the people that go to Fort Myers don't have money to spend in artwork, high-end artwork.
They're really old.
So
They
they're
make us
moving.
look like children.
So that's what I keep hearing. So, but
And what
like I
about?
say, yeah.
Oh, well, and what about the town of Fort Myers? I mean, regarding the storms and everything. Any idea?
That's it. I'm telling you this before the
Goodness.
storm factor. So they
Right.
got a lot of things going against them, but it's the whole area over there. It's that whole corner.
Just the opposite.
It's the opposite. It's just older people from the Midwest, but
Peop-
it's what I notice is if you do well on the East Coast, you should not hit the West Coast because it's rarely the people that I know that do well on both sides of the coast.
Ah,
I don't know.
So wasn't it Sharon who told us that Fort Myers itself was pretty much unscathed by the hurricane? It was
Yeah.
Fort Myers Beach that was wiped out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
Oh,
but
okay.
even this is my opinion, and this is my feeling. Regardless, I was not. If I got into Boca was my first choice.
Well, this
They
wasn't.
said,
I
sorry,
wasn't.
sorry.
Oscar, I'm sorry. We keep stepping on each other. Go ahead.
So what people are saying to me is like the people down there, even they get the money for the insurance like they should, if they qualify for it, is that they need to build their houses first. And that stuff with the demand, and we already have a shortage of materials, it's going to make the process even longer. So it might be a year before the whole area you see people buying artwork.
I disagree.
But
Well, I wasn't talking when I was saying that Fort Myers itself wasn't hurt. That wasn't a reflection on whether you should go to a show there or not. That was simply that the horrific pictures were taken in other places, and some of the networks were mislabeling them. That Fort Myers was not badly hurt.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
calling Fort Myers Beach Fort Myers.
yes,
Right.
And they have the
okay.
same name, but they're 30 miles apart. They're,
Oh,
you know,
and then
they're
one
not
is in
the-
the beach area, and the other one is in more inland. If you see the map,
Right. The barrier islands were completely trashed, and the
Annabelle got dumped on.
so I have a friend that has her pottery in Sanibel, and somebody looked in the window, and it's fine. It's just that now it's going to be a long time for her to get her work back because she contacted the owner, and the owner just couldn't deal. But also, you can't just UPS something from there right now. And
Really?
so, she's got like, I don't know, 14 pieces of her work there, just sitting there now with, and she can't do anything about it for a while.
well, they'll have things cleaned up well enough so that there'll be transport in and out relatively quickly.
Right. I mean, I was telling her she should just contact the owner in a month, like after the trauma
Right.
subsides a little bit, once you realize you're lucky to be alive.
Lucky to have an intact building.
yeah.
Right. That would be, yes, that is a lucky thing too.
Not
But
that many people died, but an awful lot of buildings were destroyed.
Right.
My understanding is what is the island that's across from Fort Myers Beach, the one with the bridge? That bridge has been fixed already. You can go in and
Pine
out.
Island,
What?
the bridge to Pine Island.
Yeah, it's
They
already
fixed
been
it right
fixed.
away.
Yeah, it's fixed already.
Uh,
Did
Yeah,
you,
it's
hey, Oscar, did you go over there with us or at any time for
No.
Wayne and Isabel?
no.
Hmm.
It's I never went that way. So
so
but
what's
we'll see
everyone
what happens.
what's everyone applying to this year? I mean, for next year.
Only the good shows. There is.
Which
Well,
are
which are Artisphere, Cherry
Where's-
Creek, Fort
Where's
Worth,
Artisphere?
South Carolina.
Greenville, South
Carolina?
Carolina. It's my favorite show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to your buddy Will Armstrong about it.
Uh-huh.
He
Why is
loves
it
that
your
show.
okay, why is it your favorite show, Barry?
Well, I like this. I like the town, the city. All the people are great.
Uh-huh.
The sales are really excellent. TD Ameritrade gives people a $5 coupon walking in. I think they charge $5, but then they give them a coupon. And if they don't spend the coupon, you can you can stand there and ask for their coupons, and then at the end you turn them in, and you can make an extra $500 or $600. They feed you well. Easy setup, easy takedown. They're happy to have you there. Oh, and one of the best things is they do these really nice brochures online things, and and they feature artists, and it's really cool to see your work in that setting. I mean, they really promote it in advance to the
Right.
people support it.
And you obviously make sales there because that would be,
That's right. Yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't be saying nice things about it. So
that's true.
it's
Yeah.
hard to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the artists are good. It isn't like some of the recent shows that I did where it was mostly amateurs.
Uh-huh.
How do you define an amateur?
That's a good question.
I am not going to answer that question. I think we all know the levels of in the better shows versus
But to clarify, an amateur is
crickets.
different than somebody new to doing shows. It's a totally different thing.
I know. That's why I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. You work your way up. That's all. You figure out. Oh, which reminds me, hey Carrie, the thing to do is ask around you, and then upgrade, or go to see somebody that you think is really good, and make friends with them, and then ask them what they do.
But ask them after the show, never at the show.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Unless it's slow.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, your best source of show information is other artists.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
More so in the beginning because there wasn't the internet, so it was all word of mouth. And I don't think that's changed. I think word of mouth, these surveys and the online thing, okay, somebody does really well, and you think, oh, this is a really great show, and then you find out they make refrigerator magnets. So, which is not, it wouldn't be none of our clientele.
But a show that's good for some is not good for, like, Fort Worth is a very good show, but it's never been great for me, and so there's that as well. And I feel like, I'd love to try a different Texas show that's not as crowded. Like, for me, shows that are less crowded are better.
Woodlands?
And I have not done that.
Or
Dallas.
South Lake. Isn't South Lake the same weekend as Fort Worth?
Dallas 500.
No, it's South Lake is usually the last weekend of April.
Hey, that you brought up something, and like I tried a show that a lot of people didn't think it was great or didn't like. It seems like everybody did it once, and in a place that I'd never been before. I'm going to tell you, and I did really well, and I went back again, and I did really well again, and that's Birmingham, Alabama, Magic City. So it could be true that a lot of people try it, do it, and they don't like it. I did well.
Stay
The other
put.
thing
I
is,
need
if
to
you
clean
like the
your
show,
hooters.
huh? Sometimes you have to do the show more than once. Like I do,
Right.
I develop a clientele. I have people
Right.
that come back. So the more you do it, the better it can be. So
And it's okay to sometimes miss a year because they miss you, hopefully.
yeah.
So when you go to start, Allison, because I know you're not go to Florida.
Yeah. So what am I gonna what?
When you start, hopefully.
Let's see. Well, it depends. I applied to Smithsonian. That would be nice if I got into Smithsonian and Brookside, then I could drive and go to Brookside on the way home. So that would be spring. So in the winter, I generally, I'll teach some workshops and then hopefully just get some, online sales and custom orders, things like that.
Have you done Smithsonian before?
No, never got in.
Oh, street life.
I'm almost afraid to go to Smithsonian
Why?
because it's expensive and there's no guarantee that I'm going to sell anything.
There's never a guarantee,
That's true.
At any show.
Plus, it's in the city, in
Right.
Washington D.C., indoors.
Hey, it would be good
Right.
on your resume.
You need
But
a.
also
You need a.
you never know who you'll meet there too, like
That's true.
publishers or things like that.
That's right.
Um,
Could be great.
and and I think I'd rather go if I have the opportunity. Like I did not apply over the Republican years, let's put it that way.
I'm not gonna say anything.
So in any case, no idea. But yeah, so I don't have really any shows. I mean, my shows will start in the spring, essentially.
And you, Barry, when you start?
Me?
Yeah.
It doesn't even end. There's no start and end.
I'm
I'm
pretty
doing
sure
this
you
show.
don't do shows in December.
But wait a minute, but it's not because I don't do shows in December. It's because I'm making pieces for Florida. I
So
can't
when you
make the
start
stuff.
art shows
Wait a minute.
again.
I can't make the stuff on the road. So I always do like I know I'm doing 6 shows or 5 shows in Florida. So I need to make enough work before then in my studio. And then there's that whole thing about snow and cold weather that slows it down. So I need more time. But and I need that time. I need 6 weeks or whatever, 8 weeks to work. Let's see. Let me think about this. Yeah, it'll be 8 or 9 weeks. I want to. This is going to sound really strange, but I want to get done before January 1st because every year I'm out firing pots with snow up to my neck, and last year it was so cold that nothing looked good. It's funny, nothing looked good, and in my mind, and I sold bet it was my my best spring ever. So apparently I don't have any taste, so or don't know which my work is the best. So what can I say?
But Oscar, yeah, I wanted to do the Scottsdale Arts Festival, but it's not happening, and that would have been in March, and it's a perfect time to go there.
Allison,
But yeah.
what about La Quinta?
The
weekend before.
Yeah, it's 20% commission, and I just
So
really
what?
I have a hard time with that, and it doesn't go to a nonprofit.
Who cares?
It's
Listen.
also kind of a conservative market.
That's the key.
Yeah, I don't because I see the other jewelry. There's very nice jewelry there, but I don't know that it would. So it's a nice time of year to be there, but
Which show is it? 20% commission?
La Quinta.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I used to do Oklahoma City, and that was 20%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, 20% of $20,000 is better than paying $500 and doing $6,000. So
Yeah, no, and actually Oklahoma City is the end of April, and April is a really slow month.
It depends on where you are. You know, it travels.
Well,
there, you know,
I know, we used to
if you
do
went
Fort
everywhere,
Worth. We used to do Fort Worth the week before Oklahoma City.
yeah, it would be Florida in January and February and March, and that overlaps with Texas in March and towards April, and then you get up to Oklahoma City or Kansas City, and then it moves, it starts moving east, and then it's the Midwest. It's so that, I mean, there's a season everywhere, every month. It's just a different place.
And
Right, but you just
Florida,
need
there's a
time.
season all 12 months.
Well, no, isn't it really humid though in the summer?
Hot.
Where, yeah, in Texas, in Florida, yeah, those shows are
Yeah.
done. Well, at least
Right.
for me.
There are just a couple of indoor shows in Florida.
Right. There's the West Palm Beach show. I don't know what else.
Well, there's Gasparilla the first week in May, and
Ah,
the reason to do that is the $92,000 in prize money.
oh,
The first week in May,
March.
yeah.
And then
Starts
you
with
can
an
do Cottonwood, then you can do
Yeah.
Cottonwood or Brookside, then you can
Yeah.
do Our Spheres or Rittenhouse or Lumar.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Then
oh,
you can
did you just do Rittenhouse?
yeah.
And how was it?
It was luck and patience and not and reminding myself that you have to work out things. I ain't selling 240 by 60s and 230 by 45 on Sunday. So that saved the show.
How's the organization of it all?
It's done really, really well, but
Mhm.
the problem is the cows not bringing. She's having a hard time getting quality people in there.
Ah,
Like,
That's
and what I mean quality
Pennsylvania.
people is the whole package, like a presentation, and everything else. You go
Yeah.
to like a booth that looks like a super high-end design cases, wood cases, really, really nice. Looks like a jewelry store. And then you go to the next one that looks like they throw some tables,
Like a flea market.
like a flea market,
That's the
basically kind of
Pennsylvania
stuff.
Guild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's for the jewelry, and it's kind of weird because I walked the show, and honestly, it's one of the shows that you walk the show and then I don't feel like buying anything.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that's always it's a good and bad sign,
And what about how's the security there? I mean, did it feel comfortable or because you're in the city?
Is there
Yeah,
any
it's super
security?
safe. They've got 4 cops in the area, in each corner, in each entrance, and then it's pretty nice. But it's a lot of people walking the park all the time, so it's not like
Yeah.
the daytime is fine, and nighttime nobody. I never didn't hear any problems whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
And I also stand in the parking lot behind the church for the weekend, and the only thing that wake me up was the garbage truck at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, it was like
That-
no big deal.
That was a smart place to stay.
Yeah, I scooped it out from last year, and the Planet Fitness is just a block away, 2 blocks away from the show. So it was like where to spend the money if the weather's nice.
Right.
But it dropped to 44 degrees every day. It was
Oh,
it was toasty on the sleeping bag. But
You know what I didn't like about that show, and I pretty much liked everything else. It was a nighttime setup. Like the Friday night, and then you
it's
start
a,
the
it's
Saturday
a
night.
Thursday setup. Thursday's night setup. That's the only.
Yeah, right.
But it depends on which section of the square you are. If you're in the, I would say it's the south and west corner, west
Yeah.
side of the park, you have to set up at night. If you in the north side also, but if you're in the east side of the park, you can set up in the afternoon.
No,
Oh,
I thought it
really?
was separate. I thought it was separate for 2D and I thought they had a separate show for craft and
But
2D.
photography is
That's-
considered craft
It's
according to
fall
them.
and spring.
Pardon?
Photography is considered craft.
Oh,
The
It's not
original
considered fine art.
Rittenhouse show is just fine art, no craft.
right.
Yeah,
And the
that's-
Pennsylvania Guild came in with whatever they have, which is everything.
Well, that's interesting that photography is considered craft.
It is a craft, really. It's you know, it's a if you really think about it,
No,
it's a skill.
isn't the fall
No,
show
so is
the-
oil painting and
the art?
sculpting.
Now,
No,
it's
there's-
the people that run the original Rittenhouse show were painters,
Hmm.
which explains why photography was not allowed in.
Ah, okay.
Really?
Yep.
There's a thing there?
No,
You know David
Valeska?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can talk to him about the fine art show. He knows really well. And then Chris took over the show now. Christopher, I keep forgetting his last name. But he's also they're both really nice people. But they will tell you inside and down and why they don't do it. And it's been like that forever.
Right.
So you know. So
Which
I
one's
don't
the art
argue.
show?
What?
Which one's the art show? Which one's the craft show?
The craft show is the one by the guild, and then the fine art show
no.
is run by somebody else.
Time. One's in the spring, one's in the fall. I did the fall one.
They both are in the craft show goes in May and in October. The fine art goes in
Right.
June
And
and
September.
September.
Yeah, I did the September one.
So that would be the fine art.
Yeah.
So you weren't next to a photographer.
I might have been.
No, you couldn't. If it's the fine art show, you couldn't.
No.
Really? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I would put photography in the fine art than crafts, you know?
It's not, they don't list it as crafts. It's whatever the Pennsylvania Guild, if you're a member, you could apply.
Yeah. And they give you the membership and SAB, so you can just pay the membership when you apply, and I renew it every time I do the show. So it's not it's a good market. It's people have money, that area has money. So if they like your work, they buy it. And I have people coming, and the people that see me in Boca Raton when I do the show.
And they're sophisticated.
Yeah.
I thought the Rittenhouse Square, the people coming by are really sophisticated.
So they know what they're seeing. So I don't, I enjoy it. I would not recommend it to anybody, but it would be like if you want to give it a try, you're more than welcome. But it's a pleasant show to do, and you can eat any place around there. It's easy.
Yeah, great restaurants. And the farmers market is,
and the farmers market is really good on Saturday.
Yeah.
So what is your first show in Florida, Barry?
St. Armand's Circle.
When is that?
Last week in January. Last weekend. It's the best one. That and Coconut Grove are the two best shows.
I used to forget in Winter Park.
And Winter Park. The problem with Winter Park is you got all these shows January and February that are pretty solid, and then fill in shows like Barry Witt's shows. And then after Coconut Grove, there's a weekend off. Well, they could be Naples, but I don't do Naples. So there's Gasparilla the weekend after that. And then it's 3 weeks for Winter Park.
So there's only 2 weeks after that.
Or whatever. So I did my best when I only stayed 3 weeks and went home. It kept me from spending money.
Well,
And then
this
you can
year
do
it worked
Bonnie's
out pretty
show.
well.
It's
What?
good. Hey, this year's gonna be great.
And then you can go home and do Bonnie's show.
Well, that's the thing. If I don't, I applied to Bonnie's show, I applied to Gasparilla. I got it, even though they don't give any prizes to old white guys at Gasparilla because it's a extremely progressive city or run by progressives, and it's not going to an old white guy. But it is still a possibility. And I say that tongue in cheek, so don't get upset with me. I say that tongue in cheek, it just seems that way. Or maybe it's just sour grapes because I always get picked for judging, but I never win. So
So why don't
anyway,
you use Just for Men hair color?
I have. Hey, it messes with my Einstein mad scientist, mad artist persona. My act in my booth, or there was recently I was thinking I went into the wrong field. Stand-up comedy should have been my field.
Never too late.
I don't know
So you
about that.
you do a lot of shows in Florida then. So is part of it because of the weather?
Yeah, are you kidding?
Yeah.
No, I love getting stuck. I love it's being in 3 feet of snow, where it snows for 3 days. Yeah, it's my fun. Hey, listen, it was supposed to. They were talking about 2 feet of snow here. It was supposed to be starting last night, and there's nothing. It's great. Didn't happen.
Alison, they asked me today what I do in the winter months. And I told them I'm in Florida as the first week of January. I hope to be out of here and not be back until the end of March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've never
Barry,
done any Florida shows. But we don't have a bad winter here.
So Barry,
if I was living
you
where you
go
are,
in-
it'd be fine, but not in Chicago.
So
Right.
you're really busy on the weekends in Florida, but there are probably open mics on the weekday evenings you could
Oh,
try.
that's right.
Yeah, you can
There you-
try that, Barry.
There you go.
Yeah.
You
Barry.
might make a little
Oh,
extra
yeah.
money, Barry.
Thank you for waking me up. I was daydreaming here. Yeah, nah. I'd rather just perform in my booth.
Or right here, you have a captive audience.
Well, maybe if you did the open mic though, you can get them to come to your show if it's at the same time.
You never know who would be in the audience. It reminds me of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
It's. But did you apply to Vero Beach?
Ooh,
You.
the what?
Did you?
Vero Beach.
No, but you know what I thought of it. It's probably done already, isn't it?
Yep. And it's also jazz.
That's Old Oaks.
Yeah.
So what are some of
know-
the best ones in Florida then?
Honestly, it's
For who?
For me.
All right. We all have different opinions, but I can give you
Right.
mine. Mine
Yeah.
is St. Armand's Circle. Here's the problem with St. Armand's Circle and any of Howard Allen's shows. It's already filled with jewelers for the next 40 years.
Right.
So it's hard to get in as a jeweler.
Yeah.
I can get in. But St.
So
Armand's Circle.
so they're all pre-juried, is that it? Or that particular show is?
Well, Howard has a very specific way you go to shows.
Mhm.
There's a very base quality level. They make up, their group makes up, decides who gets in, and it's based on how far in advance you apply. So they'll fill up your category, and then you go on the wait list. And what you have to do is you have to look on their website to see which shows are filled, because if you apply to a show that's filled, they'll just put you on the wait list, which you'll never get in.
Right.
So
Unless you're actually there.
yeah, I've done it before, but I didn't like doing it. I had to force my way in. You get there and then you kiss their butts and you stand around and then they give you a
Oh,
space.
got it.
Best thing to do is
Yeah.
apply way in advance.
Mhm.
Okay, but not them. It's really Coconut Grove and Winter Park.
Oh, okay, Coconut Grove and Winter Park. Okay.
Yeah.
And
It's yeah.
So I'm gonna say goodbye and see you all next week.
yep,
Bye.
Bye,
All right.
Frank.
See you, Frank.
And
And
Allison, you have to talk to other jewelers.
Right, right.
see what
And look
they-
on the
yeah.
website and see who's in there. Yeah.
Okay.
That I know.
So Allison, let me just tell you something. Coconut Grove is President's Weekend, so what's that, like around the 20th? And then Winter Park is 4 weeks later or 3 weeks later.
Oh,
So then what do? Do you just hang around and have
I
fun,
could
or
teach. I could teach.
in Florida?
Yeah, there's the Florida Society of Goldsmiths. They have chapters throughout the whole state, and they like me. They're actually I'm gonna
Okay.
teach next year, but I didn't
That's
apply to
cool.
any Florida shows. So,
That's
but yeah,
see,
that's a possibility.
see what
Well,
I do is I fill in with other shows. They don't have to be as good. And they're not all going to be great, but as long as I break even with expenses and everything, okay, so that show isn't good. If I lose money, which I haven't, it hasn't happened in a while, a long time, well, then I maybe should have stayed home or had some fun. But
Right.
it's just good to be down in Florida. And if nothing, if the show isn't that great, at least you paid your expenses for the week. I mean, you do
Mhm.
okay
Right.
because you're spending money. I mean, listen,
Right.
the same meal here in Marquette that'll be $13 or $14 is $30 in Sarasota. So
Mhm.
you have to account for that. But
Right.
but you know,
I often bring my own food just in
yeah,
general. Not to
yeah, you
say I never
said
go
that.
out, but I save, I mean, I try to stay at Airbnbs and
Yeah,
then I can also cook. But before leaving for any show, I spend the day before cooking, making all kinds of salads and things. And it does pay off because then, I'm eating healthy food and at least for lunch at the show, I don't have to worry about you making decisions on what I'm going to eat when
yeah.
I'm doing a show. So
God,
well,
Allison, I wish I was your partner. That'd be great. I don't do any of
Allison,
that.
the best way to describe it to you is like the West Coast is mostly Midwesters,
Okay.
and deeper, when you get to Naples, you get people from Canada and people with more money.
Okay.
When you get to the South, the East Coast is mostly New Yorkers, Philadelphia, Upper
Mm-hmm.
East, Upper East, and then you got the Hispanic community going down there.
Got it.
So that's how you can tell which market you're going to hit. It's two
Well,
different
yeah,
markets.
I do well in the Midwest, but the New York market, they don't know me really because I don't do any, I mean, I've done a show in Boston, but that could be a good market also.
So,
I,
and
you know what? I don't think it's that weight that much anymore, Oscar. I think everybody is from everywhere in all those places.
it feels like that to me still, because I can tell you Steve Walker does much better in the West Coast. He does horrible in the East Coast.
Steve Wewerka, who's a really good friend of mine, does not get into any of the top shows.
Well,
Allison gets into all the top shows, so there's a difference in quality level there.
Not all of them.
Well, not all of them all the time, but if you
Right.
get in once, you
he doesn't apply to any of the big shows because he doesn't
Really?
think that he needs to. His approach is different.
Yes, it
you
is.
cannot argue with somebody that makes the kind of money that he makes. The bottom of the line is what it matters.
He's in his vehicle printing prints that he's going to put out for $40 a piece all night long. He goes, he has a license to print money. He said,
Hey, he makes.
Yeah,
I got to say, he makes a little bit. I averaged this year about $7,000 a show. He averaged a little bit more than me. So I don't know. That's the only thing I'm going to say. So I cannot, you cannot, each person has his way to sell stuff, and you cannot argue how people do if it works for a person, keep doing it. I don't want to argue with you. He went to a show in here, Naperville Women's Club, that everybody said, like, what the hell are you doing that show? And he has a monster show in there.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Yeah, he does some of these shows that I'd never do, and he cleans up.
So you never know, So he does well in there. What to go to, because when you get to this is the other thing that sometimes we overlook. It's like you do these really high-end shows, you think you're going to do really well,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily, because you're competing against a bunch of people that are as good or better than you.
But then there's the psychology of the economy at the time. Like right now,
Economy's booming. We're at full employment. You can say
but
whatever you
people
want.
are okay. What I'm
Go
saying
on.
is there's the psychology of what people are reading in the news, that this high inflation, which is, it's really big companies squeezing the rest of us. But and then the market, the stock market and all that, I think that some of that comes into play. I mean, I know I just did open studios the last 2 weekends, and I met so many people who tried things on and loved them, this and that, and it's like, how can I get you to buy this, and so it was definitely people were not just like wanting to spend money so easily here, and that's just one instance, and I realized that. But it certainly comes into play.
Honestly, right now, I don't want to spend money. I got money to spend, and I don't want to spend it because I don't know how it's going to be.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I'm saying. So I did took a deposit for a pair of earrings, and so instead of calling it layaway, I learned from another artist calling it a payment plan. I don't know if that sounds better or not, but I don't mind
much
doing
better.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because layaway, you think about
layaway is something you do at Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the term. Yeah.
Hey, what I've found is that the people with money always have money. They take advantage of any economic situation, and they can, and they do. So our customers are not the ones that are penny pinching.
But however, I don't care how much money you have. For some people, it's about cash flow. And so, they might not want to buy it all at once. They might want to, I mean, I sold a very expensive necklace last year. Well, actually this year, she paid it this year. She started it last year, and I think it went on for, I mean, it was fine for me because it was nice cash flow for me. But I think it went from like December to April, and then I couldn't ship it to her. I had to ship it to a PO box because she didn't want her husband to know. So there's a lot of reasons why cash flow and that kind of thing is an issue for some people. Like maybe she has a certain I mean, it was a $12,000 necklace. So
see, I don't have that problem anymore since my wife passed away.
Did you have that problem, Larry?
Well, yeah, there were things. I bought a lot of camera equipment over the years.
That she didn't know about, you mean?
Right. Or she didn't know what I paid for it.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
No, no, exactly the same thing.
So anyway, just because people have money doesn't mean that when they see your art, it fits into their, what they can spend that month, so.
Yeah. Interesting thing about that. For I can't remember how long, I want to say 3 years, I would always, when somebody would buy something in my booth, I'd go, these are reasonable. I mean, everybody would say, oh, these are so reasonable. Last weekend in Nashville at Tennessee Craft, which incidentally, there were 5 artists and the rest were all flea market level. Because it's gone way downhill. But I had more people saying I can't afford it. I mean, I hadn't heard it in so long. It was
Yeah.
the first time. Now I don't know whether that's the coming trend or it was just those people came to the show. But when you have flea market level stuff, you get flea market level customers. And those aren't my customers. So even though I did fine, I did all right.
Allison,
put-
one of the things that you had mentioned about people not being able to afford it, or it's being something really expensive. The book that I'm reading right now is by Brian Tracy. It's called The Psychology of Selling. And one of the things that he suggests in there is to write down all of your objections. So when someone comes into your house, like there's a couple of different objections that I get as a 2D person. One is I don't have the wall space. And 2 is I can't afford it. And so I spent a day brainstorming on the way that I could overcome those objections. And one of the ways to that I came up with is a lot of people will have one picture behind the couch on the wall. And they think that wall's taken care of. So that the way that I'm going to overcome that objection is to create a brochure about how to create like a gallery wall or a collage hanging, how to like lay it out. And I'm going to put that in. I'm going to be able to hand that to them. So that's going to be
That's great.
So that's one of the overcoming.
That's great.
Another solution is to rotate.
Rotate. What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't have to have the same painting hanging over the couch. You
Oh
can
yeah,
change it out with something else you have.
that's a good idea.
That would never
Oscar-
work for me. that
Oscar
way.
is an expert in hanging artwork.
Oh, okay.
It's what he also does, right? I mean, Oscar.
Yeah.
So how would you approach that if somebody says they don't have wall space?
I usually don't, I've seen that like as a polite, the way I see it when they say that to me, and it depends on the age of the person. If the person is an older person, most likely the house is full. They don't have the wall space, honestly, to put anything else in there. So you have to think of that first. And then after that, if it's a young couple, like on Sunday, for example, I went to do this installation, and this is the problem that I have with my customer. He bought the piece in the gallery. I didn't recognize who was the artist, and I make a comment, oh, I didn't know she does this kind of work. And that came out the wrong way, apparently. But they have a 1-bedroom open kind of studio, and they put the painting over the couch. The 3 pieces they have over the couch, they move it to someplace else. And quite honest with you, I cannot visualize how they would put it look, because the place looks like a shithole. And I don't know how to say to them, you guys you're spending too much money to be here. You should find a better place to live.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you could not say that to them.
No, you cannot say that, but
No.
that's the what I was fighting all the hour I was in there hanging these things for them, because I am putting it like you only have like a 2 feet in the right side of the bed, or maybe 1 feet to scoot out of your bed from the left side, 1 foot to scoop out of the other side of the bed, so you cannot hang anything in those walls. You have to put it more this way, and then I'm going like why you bought this,
Subtle hints.
You can't say that.
If only if you have an extra room.
Yeah.
You know what? You can make suggestions. That's what I do. I make suggestions as to what they can do with it. And if somebody said, I don't have any space, you said, but you really like this piece, I divert, to something else, some positive. And it's funny. I don't, a book on what to say, I have an answer for every. I have an answer for every comment.
But I think Carrie's idea is really great. And then even if they're not going to buy something right then, they have this with presumably your name will be on it and that kind of thing, your
Right.
website.
Well,
You
it's
just put
thinking
in,
And
Well,
it's kind of a
Carrie's saying she-
generous, I think it's a very generous thing. It's like a goodwill sort
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
situation.
and the objection that you were talking about with the expensive pieces, something I'm looking forward to, because the two things was the wall space and can't afford it. So Square has like a thing called Afterpay where somebody can make payments and they can take it home that day.
But
And-
it's 6%. Do you,
Yeah,
I
I
think
was
you
just gonna
pay
say
I
6%.
haven't looked into it, but I was just gonna say that for some things it might, I don't know, it might seem okay or include it.
But
somehow.
Allison, you don't
Right.
have to charge tax on that, so you make up that 6%. 6%.
Ah, nice.
I
Okay.
think
Wait,
I
I
don't
I
haven't
quote
can't
me on that.
imagine. Huh. I can't
That's what I-
imagine.
California wants their money, so California takes tax off your original price.
Oh, wow.
It adds it to it. You're paying the whatever fees on that, although it's not coming to you exactly.
Yeah, well, if you do La
But we'll
Quinta,
pay
you could.
the 3% of the 8% that California takes.
I found in La Quinta they'll pay anything, so you can add any amount of money which will compensate for what they're taking out.
Like
So
Carrie,
If you pay me an extra 10%, I won't charge you sales tax.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
you add it to the price of the piece.
Right.
You don't tell them that. Just add it.
Right. Yeah, that's
So-
I don't know, like before whenever I was one of the top producers in my dental office, I always have been because I don't know, like my education is what allowed me to overcome their objections. And I never tried to upsell them on whitening or things that they didn't need. I would truly show them, I would educate them on why they needed to take a picture before, picture after to try to, let them see for themselves. I can't hardly translate how to overcome objections like I did in dentistry because it came out so naturally. And so now I'm reading books on the psychology of selling just because everything I learn, I have to learn by reading. Somebody can't just tell me and it doesn't just come naturally. Like that's just not how my brain works. My
You
brain.
learn by experience, by trying it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. But I have to
Yeah.
kind of like pre-rehearse in my head, like,
Really?
it doesn't feel very comfortable for me to say, well, what's keeping you from taking it home today? Like,
I get that.
not naturally for me.
I totally get that. I mean,
Well,
we're not all natural sellers. I'm certainly not, but I figure it's important to be authentic, honest, authentic.
Yeah. And
that's
I
the
would,
number one thing. Be honest with the customer and don't try to push things. But what you're doing is try to think about objections, what people can say, so you have an idea what to say is a really good step because most people don't think about that. I always try to figure out what people can say to you can break that thing. And sometimes if you keep a good attitude through the conversation, they surprise you and they come back. That's basically,
That's
you
true.
know, and Rittenhouse, I did talk to the person that bought the 240x6 on Friday. I didn't thought he was going to come back, but I have a good conversation and tried the best I could. And he surprised me. The guy with the 30x45, he told me, I don't have the wall space, but I really like the piece. Saying, I told him, if you really love the piece, you will find a place for it in your house.
That's
Because
great.
it's speaking you that much, you will find a place. Because the main thing about buying a piece of artwork in 2D is to make you happy. When you
Yeah.
walk around your house, you
Mhm.
want to be happy. If you keep that
I
in
use
mind, it makes a big difference. You have to.
I use that very line selling my clay. I say, you'll look at this every day and you'll get joy, you'll get a really good feeling every day. And I say it's the gift that keeps on giving.
The other thing is, I think when people buy from us, like Oscar, the person who came back, obviously they liked you. Like we could do things that turn customers off too. So, that's part of it too. So
Hey, listen,
I've
I sell myself. How about you?
I've tried. So I've tried the the Square, the what is it called on your, you could now have it on your phone where they
Yeah.
tap to pay.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet. I just
It's-
got a
Tried it
newer
once. It actually
It's-
works.
It's fun. And there's like it's when it goes into that mode, it looks very magical.
fancy.
In fact, it's Apple Pay.
So how that works, by the way?
Well, you have to upload something and then you have a choice when somebody's paying, you know, when you open up your app, it'll say card reader or tap to pay. And then you put your price in, and I think you press tap to pay or something like that.
No, it's on. No, you don't have to do that. It's on your chip reader, on the front of your chip reader on the top. You just touch it, and
No, but I'm talking about using your
Good on our
phone
phones
though.
too. Just with your
on the
phone,
phone
nothing
too.
else. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I never tried
So-
that one. Yeah.
So Barry, you could upload that now, and this way you don't have to depend upon your chip reader syncing, because
Yeah.
it often gets out of sync.
And
Okay.
listen, when I upgraded my phone, and I didn't really test it, I went to do this show, and I went to use the chip reader, and it wouldn't recognize the chip reader. I had the iPhone 14 Pro, and I went, so I had a swiper, you know, which always works, and I thought, well, okay, I'll use that. But then I started exploring, and I had to do, I went deep into the settings of the Square reader, and it said, oh, you need a firmware upgrade,
Oh,
which took 60 seconds, and then it worked. So then it recognized it, but
before you do any show, test your reader, make sure you're up
That's
to
right.
date.
that's right.
Yeah, so on the new one, you just hit your sale, and then there's and then charge. And then I can
Yeah.
enable
It's
my
a-
phone.
It's actually a little more difficult than it was in the beginning at first. The first time you didn't need two screens, it only did the first screen.
But
which I
she's
prefer.
talking about the using
Checkout
your
process.
I
phone.
know what she's
Yes,
talking
right.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I love it. I'm so glad that it
question.
exists now.
Me
Now
too.
that you're talking, enable the tap to pay on phone, what does that? So you
Pardon?
don't need the
So you don't need the reader, but you know, you always want to have everything with you just in case. But you do not need the reader.
unless
Is it
they have a
just
chip
for
on it.
Apple? Is it just for Apple?
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
Might
When I
be.
got mine, it gave me that option, whereas before, like, I literally had an iPhone 7 up until like 3 weeks ago. Okay, y'all. So, I mean, like, people would look at it, they'd be like, God, that's a dinosaur. I'm like, I know, shut up. It's my phone. So when I got this one, it just said, hey, you can now do it without the reader. But the problem is you run into every so often, like, I think here in a couple of years it's going to become a lot more prominent, but like right now there's people who still have chip cards that don't have the tap to pay. My credit card
Right.
that I got in, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago, up until September, it didn't have the tap to pay, but my new one has that now. So in a few years, once all those chip cards are expired, then people's tap to pay will,
Yeah.
it'll probably be awesome. You won't need that little reader.
It's no hassle.
Which will be
I use the
great.
chip reader.
Well, sometimes things come out for Apple, but it doesn't apply to Android for 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I love that feature anyway.
I have trouble with my readers. I can't use the square box that's supposed to be able to do tap to pay and Apple Pay and Google Pay and all that because it never seems to want to be connected to my app and the phone.
Hmm.
I finally got the dongle thing to work that has a chip reader in it. And I still have the original one that they gave you free for joining Square, but hardly anybody has magnetic strips anymore.
Plus, it's a higher risk, as far as I
Yeah.
understand.
We
Yeah, they-
still have people coming up from Mexico though, and they don't have the chip cards.
Right.
So it works on those.
That's
Yeah.
a California problem.
Yeah, well, probably Texas too, if you're in the right place.
Yeah.
I just read the rules on that the other day, and basically if it doesn't have a chip and you swipe it, it's the same as them being there. If it has a chip and you swipe it, then you can get in trouble for that.
Oh, okay.
But
No.
if it has no other option, that's the only way they can pay.
No,
Yeah.
And it's, you're protected by Visa, like,
Yeah. Well, the one
to
that has
know.
the chip reader in it also can be used as a swipe, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
I never
Either
do
way.
that.
I've used the swiper sometimes with the, card with a chip reader, the chip in it, and I've never had a problem. I've never not,
That's good that you don't have any dirtbag customers that you swiped their chip card and then they walk away and say, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. And it goes in their favor. They have
Right.
they
I
have your
did it.
heart in.
I did it at St. James Court. That's where I found out that the firmware wasn't up to date, and I couldn't use it until I actually went exploring. So 1 day's sales, and I monitor. I mean, they list, you get the transactions, so and then your bank account, what goes in your bank account, so you can keep track of that. And so I didn't have any problems.
Well,
Who
you
has
can
dirt
always
bags?
type in the number manually. They charge you an extra
That's true.
percentage point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1% more. But the entering manually is like for me, it's like I don't get no signal, doesn't work, doesn't want to connect. You have to do it manually, and I don't want to have the person wait more than 2 minutes to do that, if it
Yeah.
doesn't read, because sometimes it's working all day long, the square reader, and then suddenly in the middle of the day, it stops working. And then you don't have no choice. You have to do it manually. But I carry 2 square readers now with me.
Yeah.
Smart.
And
Yeah.
I carry the square readers, the chip readers, and I also carry a swiper, just in case.
so you have to do whatever you have to do to finish the deal.
Yeah.
So
Even if you send them to the ATM machine to take the cash out, give it to you. Although that's not
the other
recommended.
thing that I've been doing, that I did and Rittenhouse that work out really, really well, Venmo.
Venmo.
Yeah.
Hey, what's
Is that
better than
safe?
What?
I feel like that's not, I don't know. I mean, is it for business? I mean, do you have any
There's a
protection?
No.
business version.
No, and there's no
okay.
insurance on it.
I would never use Venmo. The one to use is Zelle. Zelle
And-
is, every bank in the country uses Zelle. There's no it's directly bank to bank. There's no fees involved.
But
And
I don't
every
think
bank,
that's that safe either. I mean, I don't know. I don't trust it.
Zelle,
Zelle
it's the bank. Is your bank,
Zelle
you
is,
trust
I
your bank?
use, for the installation, people pay me basically Zelle, Venmo, cash. I don't even take credit cards for the installations, and I use it all the time. The Venmo is by PayPal, so it's not like
Yeah,
it's
which
not
is a
a,
reason not to use it.
Right.
well, that I don't care about that. I just, it's a business part.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't get screwed by didn't you get screwed by PayPal, Oscar?
No, because I don't use PayPal like that.
He
Okay.
thinks women should be like just in the kitchen, you know.
Oscar?
Peter Thiel, not Oscar.
Yeah,
Hey,
and Trump should be in the White House.
Yeah, but that's it's got to put it this way. I don't like to buy stuff from Uline, but I need to buy stuff from Uline because they're the only people that carry the product that I need. So who cares? It's I'm worried more about other things. My customers, I don't, so. But
Hey.
Berman works really well. I need to put a sign for that, especially for small amounts. Like people don't want to give you $40 cash. It's a good way to get the money. You get it in a couple of days or the next day. If you want to pay the instant fee. You pay the instant fee was still
Wait a minute.
cheaper than Square.
Hey, Zelle is instantaneous. It goes right into your account and there's no fee.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but you have to give them it's more, this is the thing. And Venmo, they go point your camera, your phone to your camera to this little thing. I don't know if you can see it.
No, oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
They put the camera in that, they got all your information, they send you the money. It takes literally 2 minutes. Sell, you have to give the phone number. If they don't have
Only
it,
the phone number. Only the phone number.
yeah,
Nothing
but
else.
if they don't have
Not
the
your
phone
name.
number, wait, Barry. If they don't
Okay.
have the phone, if you're not in the contacts of that person, they have to add you to the contacts of that person before they send the money.
Oh.
It's more steps. You have to the whole thing is to make it quick and easy for the person.
For the customer.
Yeah.
Well, they have to have a Zelle account to be able to do that.
Everybody has a cell account. If you have a bank account, everybody has cell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they have to add you. It's a lot more. It's more steps to do it. You know.
Listen, I sent money to my brother. There's no step. It's just his phone number and he gets the money a second later.
Because he done it before, but when you have to add a person for the first time, it's a lot more steps. I just telling you because I do it. I do that at least 5 times a week.
Okay. Well, you can have Venmo. I'm not touching Venmo.
I do all of them, whatever they want. I don't care.
Venmo,
Excel, Venmo, cash, personal checks, credit card. I don't care which credit card you want to give me. I take whatever way payment possible.
That's
Whatever
fun.
makes your life easier is fine with me.
You know, by the way, I do think artists make a mistake when a customer wants to pay with a credit card and an artist says, oh, I prefer cash or check.
No.
Because, you know, first of all, I agree with you, Oscar, it's however the customer wants to pay, but also, you know, they might buy more, you know, in using a credit card or whatever the case may be. And, you know, as far as the fees, they're just the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
That's
You're going
right.
to write it off anyhow.
I'd rather take a credit card than take cash because it
Yeah.
goes right into my account instead of in my pocket where I'm going to go out and spend it. Hey, I got all this money. Let's go have some fun. Whee!
Right.
Or somebody
See,
sees you, or
you-
someone
you-
sees you taking cash, you know,
That's
and then you get a
right.
jump.
Yeah, well, that's never happened, but there's can always be a first time.
Right.
They just run away from me when they see me with cash. The
Well,
bad
you're
guys
scary.
run away.
That's because you're scary looking, Oscar.
Yeah. They know we'll get beat up.
Yeah.
No, I got this habit when I get cash. It's like I stop in the bank as soon as I can and deposit all the money.
Really?
Yeah. I'll report everything. I don't care. I know people saying that you shouldn't be doing that, but Coconut Grove this year, I literally had to go to the bank and the woman said like, why you need to tell her because I don't want to deposit $2,000 in 20s. And it's a lot of money. So you have to deposit your money here and there.
Yeah. So I want to show everybody something, you know, new phone, iPhone 14 Pro, and it comes with that camera. But a friend of mine found this this case, and the camera, of course I actually can't get it to work. Oh yeah, so it has a protective covering as opposed to the glass that most of them have, and it just slides over and it covers it, so keeps it clean. I don't know if it keeps it clean, but it keeps it cleaner. Just thought I'd throw that out during the show and tell portion of our event here.
So I've heard several of you talk about Florida. and I saw a show that looked like, when I was looking at their social media, that's where I go to discover where my people might be is, I look at their social media because there's always somebody walking with a camera, like doing a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live. And I saw that Las Olas was this just past weekend. Have any of you done that show before?
That's with Howard. And it's supposed to be one of his best shows.
Yeah, there was somebody who had a big original painting, and that customer looked like my customer. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just kind of drawn to it. And I feel like my bright color palette needs to go somewhere where it's like endless summer. But that's not on my radar for at least till probably, I don't know, 2024, because I have a Kia Soul. So it's a tiny little car. And
But that'll change.
oh, I know it will. And
Hey, I started out with a Subaru, and then I got a minivan, and then I got a real van,
Well, I'm a jeweler, so it's a whole different story. But I started out doing shows in Honda Civic, and I have a Forester now, Subaru Forester. So
Ooh,
okay.
an upgrade.
So I found a bag that would fit my pro panels on top of my car in this bag. And then I had to get a hitch put off the back of my car for my dolly and my ladder and my tent. And then the inside is stuffed to the gills with my weights and ratchet straps. And I call it the in case shit happens bag. It's like the
And your
emergency bag.
mhm.
Like all that stuff is shoved inside. And then I had to get the little bubbles on the outsides of my mirrors so I could see, because it's so now when I look at cars, I used to be like, oh, that car is cute. But now I look at cars and I'm like, can I put my pro panels in that vertically? Like I'm like looking at cars like a whole different way. Like I'm kind of like drooling a little bit over like cars I would have never looked at before ever.
So Carrie, your first purchase after you get your new van, which
Okay.
is inevitable, will be a real tent and not a pop-up tent.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's all I can do right now though. I'm limited.
One thing is you might want to keep your eyes open in general for used tents, because
Yes.
there's always people retiring, and you could save a lot of money that way and get like a trim line or a light dome. And I kind of see the writing on the wall that my tent roof I'll need to replace. And I ended up getting a light dome. It was serendipitous that I even found it, but it was somebody nearby in Santa Fe, and $350 for an entire light dome.
Wow.
And it's an older version, so there's no plastic. It's all like welded metal. And it's in incredible condition. So, even though I didn't exactly need that right away, it's nice to have that backup now. And the price, you can't beat that price, especially for the condition it's in. So there's the Artist Garage Facebook group that has a lot of things like that. So, you might want to just keep your eyes out.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I did with my pro panels. I got you mentioned the Smithsonian earlier. It's a friend of mine who now does shows like that. And so she doesn't do all the indoor shows she used to do. And now, so she had sold her pro panels, and it's like it's an amazing set with the like little skirts and like the poles that raise it up really high. And I mean, it's a nice set. I got it for $800. So
that's great.
Gray, and it was like in perfect condition. It looked like it had never been used. So I was 16 shelves. She's a glass sculptor. So so I got a really nice set, and then I was able to sell like half those shelves because I don't need them, and make some money back too. So that was nice.
Yeah,
Jerry,
perfect.
is your work really colorful? Like a lot of color?
Yeah,
bright
very
colors. If you follow social media, follow Carla Bank.
Color Bank.
Yeah, Carla Bank.
Follow her, and see what show she does.
Okay. Yeah,
And,
thank you for
and
And
you
then
might
we'll
do
see
well.
you at Des Moines.
Yeah.
that. I don't know if you all listen to it or not, but there's a podcast that I found in 2020, early 2021, that mentions all the shows that you all were talking about, like being some of your best shows in Florida. And it's the Independent Artist Podcast. Do any of you all listen to that?
Yes.
Yeah, I listen
Everybody
to
knows
it
about
usually.
that.
Yeah. I like that
Yeah.
podcast.
And the people that put it together.
Have you joined, Naya?
No, I haven't.
They
I
don't charge at this point, so you should
Yeah.
join.
yeah, I really like the hosts that are on that show. Like I'll just, I'll be driving and I'll just like nose fart laugh, because they like that guy Will that's on there. He's like really cynical sometimes. I don't know, he makes
Will
me,
Armstrong.
yeah, he makes me laugh. I'd like to meet him one day.
That's no
Not on
problem.
the show. Good to tell you.
Pardon me?
Not on the show.
Not in this show.
No.
What?
Not on the show. After the show, you can hang out with him and talk to him if he has time.
Or before the show.
Or before the show. As soon as the show starts, he becomes the biggest dick in the
And-
planet.
And
Oh,
Doug Sigworth.
Seems like
Hey,
it could be
listen.
that way.
I'm not, when I'm setting up, I'm not the nicest guy either. Don't approach me while I'm setting up.
Okay, so
So-
Barry, did you happen to be driving down 4th Street to get to your booth and have to tell somebody to move their crap out of the street? What did you happen to do that at St. James?
No,
Okay,
No,
because there
but
was
I
a
would.
person.
but
There
I
was somebody-
would.
Yeah, I know you would. I can just tell you would. There was somebody that like had their stuff out them just a little bit, but it's such a tight squeeze through there. And yeah, he kind of reminded me of you. So I was curious if that was you because you drove
Oh,
right past
no.
me.
Well,
at
he
that-
didn't do 4th Street this year.
I'm unique.
I didn't know if
No,
you
I
had to
haven't done it for
down
about 4 or 5
it.
years. In fact, the only reason to do 4th Street has awards and St. James Court doesn't. But St. James Court has the reputation, so you want to do that one. Hey, want to know the best part about that show? The people that live on the block, on the street, they feed you, they give you
Oh yeah.
wine, alcohol, you use their bathrooms. I mean, they're really nice. It's really great. Mitch and Cindy is behind my booth.
Well, the only thing that has ever really stopped me from applying there is I know you get stuck in Newbie Alley, which is like the grass and the mud, right?
Yeah, you don't
I
want
got
to
a
be.
way around it. Carrie, just ask me how to navigate these things. Because
Okay.
my first year, I know about this, and I wrote to them and said, "Listen, I understand that you put all the newbies in the middle. I'm not a newbie, even though I haven't done your show. I'm not a newbie, and I won't do the show unless you put me on the street." They wrote me back and said, "Okay, don't pay your booth fee till we give you a space." And of course, they gave me a space on the street, and so that's how I got around it. There are ways to get around these things, and sometimes it's just a matter of asking or telling them that I'm not going to stand for this. Well, you don't say it that way, but
Yeah. I'm just a few booths down from the grass-fed hamburger guy that everybody knows about, that guy.
I don't know about that guy.
Don't know
I
about
won't
that
make
guy.
eye
He's
contact.
right
I
there
don't
at the
make eye
corner
contact.
where your section and my section meet. He's at the corner. Thank you all so much for sharing information with me today.
I'm
And-
down by
anytime.
we did. I'm down by where Belgravia comes in. Just
Okay.
up from there. Where's your booth on 4th Street?
It's so I can't remember the name of the street, but it's just right off of I think off of the court. I don't know. I should know. I lived over there 12 years, but yeah, I don't remember
Well-
the exact name.
I'm sure I walked by your booth because I actually walked over there. I wanted to see what it looked like. Not your booth, but I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like where you have to really commit, like for somebody to walk in your booth going down that street because the traffic's so heavy. It's like the zombie herd of people walk by. And if you want to walk into a booth, it's a commitment because you have to like literally stop the flow of traffic to go into a booth. So it's kind of, I don't know. I just know I attended it for like 25 years when I lived over there, and I had to really like somebody's stuff for me to make me stop. So
you're better off on the court.
I'll say I
If your
know.
work if your work's really good.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is right now. I'm
You
still,
apply to the shows and you go to the shows, you get in. Everything else will fall in place in time.
yeah, I'm excited. I mean,
Oh.
it's so much more fun than cleaning teeth. I can say that. I mean, I've worked my
Really?
butt off, but I spend a lot of more hours for sure working than I used to. But
No,
I
we're not doing that.
I don't need a gym. That's kind of cool. Like I've dropped I can wear any of my clothes now because raising all that stuff up on top of my car and packing my car, and I do all of it by myself, all the weights and stuff. So like I've lost
Cool.
some weight this year. It's been pretty awesome. I don't know how you all aren't ripped because like it's crazy exhausting. I got me a watch so I could figure out how many steps I'm walking, and it's like almost 7 miles just, or it's almost, I know it's
Yeah.
6 miles for teardown. It's crazy.
That was the best. You know what? That was the best thing about getting getting a Fitbit is actually I wanted to see how much I walked or how much energy I expended at a show, and that was that was fun. Tracking that doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I
Fun.
don't.
The only problem with those is that crocheters have found they do their 10,000 steps sitting in the dirt because their hands moving.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't think about that. That's
You're
funny.
doing a lot of little movements. You might be adding steps to your process.
Well, I'm always the last person in the park tearing down. Usually, like I've been like one of the last 5 the past couple of times. So I've been pretty excited about that. But I'm really excited that this thing calls because I'm on a ladder a lot. So this thing calls if I fall, calls emergency services. It asks you if you're okay. And then if somebody comes up behind me, I can just hold this button in and it calls 911 too. So because I'm always by myself and I'm 5 foot tall. So
Really?
yeah, I'm a short person. So
That's how tall I am too.
well,
we call it vertically challenged.
there you go.
I've shrunk.
But also I have found though, one of the things I love about art fairs and our tribe is that if things go wrong, people really help each other.
Yeah, they do.
So there's it's a really decent community of people, I think.
Well, I've got to go, but thank you all so much for thank you, Larry, for hosting.
Sure. You're
It's every
welcome
week.
back anytime.
Yeah,
It's every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, same time.
Yeah, you better be
Right.
here. If
Send me
I
an
come,
email and
you have
I'll
to
put
be there.
I'll put you on my mailing list. I send out a reminder email on Tuesday mornings.
I'm already on your list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just hello@myname.com, the carriebethcollins.com. That's my email. So you already have that one. And I've been getting your emails. I just haven't been able to attend or haven't remembered because I haven't put it into my routine yet. So yeah, I'm gonna try to make space for this every week. So
All
because I
right.
figure I could learn a lot from all of you. I mean,
Nah,
so what I'm trying to do is get the
it's a
competitive edge.
social thing.
Or maybe some bad habits if they're from Barry, I think.
Exactly. I know. But they're good bad habits.
Yeah. I mean, just even hearing other people talk and how they do things. And I can't remember, somebody earlier was talking about paint on something. I mean, you never know what will help you out or spark your creativity.
Yeah.
So thank you all. I will
Thank
see
you.
you all.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you next week, hopefully.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I guess that's it.
Yeah, we're about
So
an hour
Allison,
over.
I hope I see you somewhere sooner or later.
Well, what are you applying to
Just
next
have a
year?
laugh. Well, all the good shows. Whether I get in or not, it
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I had a lot of luck off wait lists this year. But it's nice to get in from the start.
I did mostly secondary shows, much to my chagrin. I think the only top level show was Des Moines, and some people might debate that isn't really a top level show. And I did fine. I did fine all year.
Good.
with some regular ones that aren't top level shows like Ann Arbor and St. James Court,
Mhm.
but I did well. I did well at everywhere. To
Good.
me, the economy's still strong.
I hope so.
I want it to last another year. Well, I want it to last another 5 years, but
Yeah, Barry, I want it to last for the rest of my lifetime. Okay.
well, yeah.
Right, right.
I make this joke that I'm going to live, it'll be my punishment that I'll live to be 95 or something and have to do art fairs for, into my 80s. And,
You're not far from that.
we have friends that do the shows and they're like, so some are like mid 70s, late 70s. And I go, oh, I got some years to go. I'm younger than them, but I do think about it. So it's weird.
Larry, I got a question for you, camera related. Do you think it's worth spending the money in the 850 for the megapixels?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's this?
I mean, Nikon came out with a mirrorless version, which is over $5,000 for the 46 megapixels. But the 850, if you catch it when it's on sale, it's only 2,000.
Yeah.
I
got to
bought a
keep an eye
second
on it.
one. I bought a second one when I realized they weren't going to do an upgrade.
Yeah, and they're not doing it anymore. I think that's the last one that they're going to make.
Right.
So I'm going to try to get one soon.
It's a great camera.
Yeah. It's just that people keep asking if I can print bigger than 40 by 60, and I'm going like a
Well, what are you shooting with? How many megapixels?
24 megapixels. And
I mean, you can print as big as you want.
yeah,
It's just a question of you might be the only one that sees the problems.
that is true. Which is what is happening. But I just, maybe it's time for me to upgrade anyhow. It's been a while.
Yeah, and if you have a nice selection of lenses, the 850 is the way to go.
Yeah, I do have a nice selection of lenses, and I was kind of pissed off when I was when I opened my bag, the lens cover for the 180 2.8, it was cracked. I got lucky I didn't damage the lens.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I still have my 180 2.8.
Yeah, I love that lens.
That was one of my lenses from my sports days.
Yeah. I love that lens. It's kind of funny. The lens I use the least amount now is the 304. But the 180, the 20, the 1424 are the two lenses I use the most now. So the super wide angle or really tight, nothing in between. And the macro lens. But that's about it. Well, have fun, guys. Allison, I'm gonna talk to you later tonight.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
All right.
See you guys.
I'm gonna go. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. Talk to you later, Barry.
All right,
Yeah,
bye,
see you, Oscar.
everybody.
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
So what do you got? Hey, Oscar. Oh, he will.
He's gone. What
Never
were you
mind.
going to ask him?
I want to know what he had going with Allison.
No, it's courts meeting is tonight, every other Tuesday,
Oh, okay. What time is that?
9 o'clock Eastern time.
You sent me the info.
Yeah, I sent it to
Well, send it to him again. Okay, see you.
All right, I'll see you next week.